Welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center. And this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, on Tuesday, April the 9th, right here from Lubbock, wet Lubbock, Texas. Man, we've had rain started in the middle of the night last night, it seemed like, and it has rained all day long. Lubbock, Texas is not built for rain like this, so all the streets are flooding. Was apparently we got some more coming through the night. So it's been a good rain. It's been one of those days where we should have just checked it in, gone to the coffee shop, sat and had a good old cup of coffee and just watched it rain. I did that a little bit this afternoon. I didn't go to the coffee shop. I just stood in my house and looked out the window and watched it rain a little bit. It was just it's been great. I don't know how the rest of the world is getting along with rain, but in Lubbock, Texas, it's been. It was a. We don't get these kind of rains very often. It was just nice and slow all day long, just raining. Everything is soaking wet out there, so that's going to be good for West Texas. You know what would happen if West Texas got grass and trees and stuff like that? Water. You guys all over the rest of the world would be jealous of us. Y'all wouldn't know what to do if it wasn't just dirt blowing out here all the time. So. The dirt is not going to blow today. It's not going to blow tomorrow. It might probably take at least till Thursday before it starts blowing again. So, hey, but no, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening to the show. We're coming to you right here on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio and 1420 AM Lubbock Christian Nation. We're on social media at the Rock Health and Wellness and the Rock Health and Wellness Centers, wherever we are on Facebook. And at Health from the Rock on YouTube, and on X, it's Dr. Jason Clemmons. You can find us if you want us. Thank you guys for watching the show and listening to the show. And we've had some good ones. Last night we took health to church in the second half of the show, and we just kind of carried over talking about some of the things that some of the type of people that we see in the office, the issues that we see in the office. And just to let you know that if you're out there, I had a patient tell me today, she said, I can't believe that everybody doesn't do this. Like it was kind of sad for her that they miss out on getting adjusted. And I went and got adjusted today. It's my day. Tuesdays are my day to get adjusted. Went and saw my chiropractor, got adjusted. Been doing that since I was 17 years old, and I'm 53. And so, it's just a big deal. So the Friday night show and last night's show, the first part of it, I just wanted to share with you real life stories that happen here in the office so that you can kind of understand that maybe chiropractic is for you too. Maybe getting your nervous system checked. It's not what you think though. It's probably not what you think at all. It's different with the way that we do wellness chiropractic care. And it may not be what you grew up with. If you're an old timer, you might have been around for a long time. You might have heard about chiropractic for 60 years or something. And it's not exactly the same. The education that we've received has evolved. The studying that we do has evolved. It's all about the nervous system at the Rock Health and Wellness Center. We really want to remove the interference, what we call a subluxation. And that's what this whole show is based on, is the subluxation. So you may be dealing with something that you have no idea. Like one of my guys had no idea that low testosterone could be affected by interference in your nervous system, by brain function, digestive problems. I had a 12-year-old this week taking Tums. Like that is absolutely horrible. Like 12-year-old shouldn't be getting acid reflux or indigestion or heartburn like a 12-year-old, right? And so just think you could project that. You can project that forward into what's that 12-year-old going to be like when he's 20? What's that 20-year-old going to be like when he's 30? Get him into his 50s, and then look at all the chronic disease and things that go on. That's one of the conversations I had with my chiropractor today when we were getting adjusted. We were talking about the industry of sickness, the industry of how many trillions of dollars are spent on symptoms and disease that are taking place because people are sick, right? They're not doing healthy things. They're not eating well. They're not moving like they're supposed to. they're not thinking like they're supposed to, and all that stuff adds up. So we were just trying to break it down for you last night and Friday night. So if you guys are on the radio and you don't get a chance to hear these again, then go back to social media. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, or X, and go back and watch some of these shows, and because I think there's some good information on there for you. So I wanted to talk tonight. I wanted to break the standard process line, and I wanted to talk a little bit of the supplement of the night. It's of what we have here in the office called reactive magnesium, and reacted, REACTED, reacted magnesium, and it's one of our it's magnesium from orthomolecular products, and it's but I'll read about it real quickly, just kind of let you have a little bit of information about magnesium, and in case you don't know about magnesium, and then I want to address something. I want to address something that's kind of on my mind when it comes to magnesium. Magnesium is an abundant mineral in the body and is found naturally in many foods, like green leafy vegetables. It is also found in over-the-counter medications such as laxatives. The average American intake of magnesium, according to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, is critically low. I even read that today. Let me find that for you too, because I read that on Dr. Hyman's page. I think it was magnesium. No, he was talking about pomegranates. I'll come back to that in a second. Many Americans fail to consume the estimated average requirements established by the Institute of Medicine. In addition, more than 57% of the population does not meet the United States Department of Agriculture requirements for magnesium in the diet. Intracellular magnesium levels are decreased by excessive intake of alcohol, salt, coffee, phosphoric acid found in sodas, diets high in calcium, and high stress levels. Because of widespread nature of magnesium deficiencies, adequate daily intake of magnesium is critical for proper hydration, stress response, muscle relaxation, promoting healthy blood pressure levels, optimal bone mineral density, and blood sugar regulation. Reacted magnesium provides 3 unique forms of highly absorbable magnesium to ensure maximum absorption of this important macronutrient. Macromineral. The most magnesium supplements only use a single source of magnesium, which can easily overwhelm a single pathway of absorption and limit uptake. Reacted magnesium takes advantage of 3 unique pathways of absorption by providing magnesium as a dimagnesium malate, magnesium citrate, and magnesium glycinate for enhanced absorption, improved utilization, and gastrointestinal comfort. Some individuals who take other forms of magnesium supplements often experience GI side effects, including gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or a combination of these symptoms. The form of magnesium used in reacted magnesium preserves GI comfort while maximally absorption, restoring magnesium levels in the body. So that was just an overview of magnesium. And let me go back to that. Little sentence right there. Intracellular magnesium levels are decreased by excessive intake of alcohol, salt, coffee, phosphoric acid found in sodas, diets high in calcium, and high stress levels. So if you're taking magnesium and you're drinking Cokes, you're battling with the absorption right there. If you're taking magnesium and you're drinking a lot of alcohol, we talked about that last night too. You guys know how I stand on that alcohol thing. If you're trying to be healthy, there's no spot for alcohol, in my opinion. I don't think it fits in your world whatsoever. And I think the only reason that people really are doing it is because their left hemisphere is not firing properly, which really ought to make you think to yourself, man, if I need a drink, maybe something's wrong with the way that my brain is firing. And man, I might want to do something about that. So alcohol, salt, got to watch out for your salt in some circumstances, but it does compete there. Coffee, and so think about that. I mean, just you eat a high salty meal, you drink your coffee in the morning, you drink a Coke throughout the day. diets high in calcium and high stress levels, and you're stressed out. So you may be drinking coffee today, having a Coke sometime today, and um, having high stress levels, and you may be causing yourself not to absorb your magnesium. And so that's why we use the reacted magnesium from Orthomolecular right here in the office. It's got those 3 forms of magnesium. It's 50%, 56% of your daily value. It's 235 milligrams for 2 capsules. I take it. It's just part of my daily stuff, supplements, and just put it in my little pill bottle. Take it every single day, basically, and take my magnesium. So I'm getting it in those forms, and it's important because it's not trying to overwhelm one particular form. Now, having said that, the one thing that was on my mind is that don't paralyze yourself if you're worried about magnesium. Don't paralyze yourself with magnesium about, am I supposed to take malate? Am I supposed to take the glycinate? Am I supposed to say, and there's different, the malate, the magnesium citrate, the lysinate and glycinate, chelate. Don't worry about all that. I mean, just get some magnesium. Just get some magnesium and get started. If you want some good magnesium and you want all 3 of them, then you can come get reacted magnesium from us or anywhere. It's like you don't have to get it from us. You can get it anywhere. It's reactive magnesium. It's orthomolecular. I'm sure they have it on Amazon if you want to order it from Amazon. But it is vital for lots of things. The importance of bioavailability is obvious. If consuming a magnesium supplement has little effect on improving the body's magnesium balance, there's no reason to ingest it. Signs of inferior mineral supplements include the use of cheap, poorly absorbed rock salt minerals like calcium carbonate and magnesium oxide. These minerals form slowly and limit absorption, relying on adequate stomach acid to release magnesium ions, which then enter the body via passive diffusion. And because they tend to remain in the intestine longer, these forms of mineral supplements can cause intestinal distress such as constipation, calcium carbonate, or diarrhea, magnesium oxide. Reacted magnesium provides the additional benefits of highly absorbed Albion mineral chelates. Albion is the world leader in manufacturing highly bioavailable mineral chelates, a specialized form of minerals bound to amino acids. This patented process creates organic mineral compounds which use active absorption mechanisms in the gastrointestinal tract to greatly enhance mineral absorption. In magnesium comparison study reported by Graf et al., Weber State University, Albion magnesium amino acid chelates had 8.8 greater absorption than magnesium oxide, 5.6 times greater absorption than magnesium sulfate, and 2.3 times greater absorption than magnesium carbonate. In addition, other comparative studies have shown significant superior absorption of magnesium chelates compared to other mineral forms. At a dose of 400 milligrams, magnesium chelate significantly reduced or eliminated menstrual abdominal discomfort. Multiple double-blind studies found urinary excretion of magnesium chloride higher than magnesium glycinate, proving superior absorption. Magnesium glycinate is shown to have reduced laxative effect when compared to other forms of magnesium. Mineral chelates are gentle but gut-friendly minerals that do not cause diarrhea that often accompany magnesium oxide and other rock salt forms. Albion mineral chelates have extensive clinical research proving their superior biologic activity, stability, and improved tolerance. So there's a lot of things magnesium is just super important. It just really is important. And if you guys don't have enough, if you don't have any, then make sure you're getting some. Reacted magnesium from Orthomolecular Products. That's the supplement of the day. I want to get to this Mark Hyman study right here because that's kind of interesting. It was on Dr. Mark Hyman's Instagram page, A recent systematic review and meta-analysis of 32 randomized controlled trials found that pomegranate consumption significantly reduced fasting blood glucose, insulin, A1C, and a test measuring insulin resistance. In this review, they found that people with prediabetes and diabetes improved more than those without. Additionally, glycemic management was most effective in those with obesity. Rich antioxidant content. There's all kinds of good antioxidants in pomegranates. Rich sorts of dietary fiber and pectin are beneficial for blood sugar management. Additional research shows that pomegranate can increase the abundance of Akkermansia, a probiotic bacteria that helps strengthen the gut barrier, protecting against leaky gut and improving blood glucose control and lipid metabolism. This can be a therapeutic target for metabolic disease, especially type 2 diabetes. And his comments down here, are pomegranates something you regularly include in your diet? And then he's got some ideas. So I heard that from Dr. Murphy years ago when he talked about pomegranate juice is one thing that you could use to increase glutathione. It's part of the increase. The N-acetylcysteine was one of those things, and another one was undenatured whey protein, and then that the pomegranate juice. And I'm not, we've talked about pomegranate juice. We talked about juices, so you got to be careful. But if you had like a shot of it, just a shot of it, and you could probably process that just fine. It wouldn't cause too much disruption in your liver, and you would be able to handle it because just that the fructose part of it is what I don't like. But there's some nutrients in pomegranates. So if you guys get a chance, I just saw that I don't know, sometime today. I saw that on Instagram. It's Mark Hyman, MD, and I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's a 15 times New York Times bestselling author, family physician, international leader in functional medicine, and co-founder of At Function Health. I've been studying, following Dr. Hyman's stuff for several years. Great information all the time, all about health, all about trying to get your body right. And so that's always he's a good guy to go to, Dr. Mark Hyman. So that's enough. That's enough on the reactive magnesium, and that's enough on the pomegranate stuff. So let's talk about exercise tonight. That's what I was wanting to talk about. So I want to talk about exercise from a couple of different standpoints. One, I want to talk about exercise from the brain, because if you've been following us, and you guys that follow us on a regular basis, if you've been following us from night to night, you understand what we talked about yesterday when we had a nutritional consultation, and the nutritional consultation was started with the brain, right? It started with the brain, and it's funny. I was talking to a guy today, before we really get into this. I was talking to a guy today, and he was asking me about the show. He said, "How's the show going?" and all that sort of thing. And I was telling him about the limitations that we're trying to work through, trying to make it a better show as we go. And I've got to do a better job of it and all this stuff. We were just talking about the show, and he said, "Man, that's a lot of content to do, 5 nights a week for an hour, and do that for 7 months. That's a lot of content." And I'm like, I know, it's a lot of content. It and you guys know it too. It's a lot to talk about. There's so many different ways you can talk about it. There's so many different ways you can talk about the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I do that relatively okay, and sometimes I do it, it's very boring. I get that. But it comes down to the fundamentals of being healthy. And then I think maybe if we just keep saying it over and over and over, and we keep saying it in different ways, and we say the same thing, but maybe we just tweak it just a little bit, because you're going to get just some fundamental things when you're talking about nutrition. And what I don't want to do with the show is I don't want to force myself out of my purpose and I don't want to force myself into doing stuff just to be entertaining. I want to be entertaining enough for you to watch the show. I get that, but I don't. I follow some of these guys, like Dr. Mercola's like that. Like he had to give up. Like, I don't know if you guys know Mercola.com, Mercola. Mercola's like that. I think Dr. Huberman, to a certain extent, is kind of getting into this challenge for you guys that know him. I think Dr. Peterson did the same exact thing. They get into this challenge of the amount of content that they're providing creates a challenge for them to stay true to what they're really talking about. And it gets a little bit you want you guys that are watching the show and listening to the show, you don't want you guys to just be bored to death, but we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about your nervous system, we're talking about your brain, we're talking about exercise, we're talking about sleep, we're talking about your spiritual life. We can get a little further down the road, but those are the fundamental things of health and wellness. Those are the things that if you're not functioning properly, you really should get back to those things first. Get back to the 5 essentials of health. Get back to the fundamentals. When things are not going well in your life, get back to the fundamentals. So tonight when we talk about exercise, it's stuff that we've already talked about, but I want to tie it back into maybe some of the other things that we've been talking about lately where you might say, oh, I see what you're doing right there, right? So last night we talked about our nutrition evaluation and how in our nutrition evaluation, we start with the brain, which is very unusual, I think. I don't really know too many other people that do that. They don't start with the brain. Think about it. Think about how important that is. If you guys are listening to us on the radio, if you're watching us on social media, think about that. Think about how your state of mind determines what you're going to eat. Think about the way that you're thinking. Some people are so busy. I ain't got time for this. Let's just get it. I did that. That's what I did for 30 years, and I it was just crazy. 29 years, something. I don't know how long, but I didn't think about. I didn't stop and really think about it. I didn't think about how important my brain was and my brain state was to making the decisions that go on every single day. And I think sometimes we get ourselves in a bind when we're not realizing what we're doing. So when we do a nutritional evaluation, we start with the brain. We talk about the brain. We talk about why we're eating. We talk about right side and left side brain. We talk about adrenaline and dopamine. We talk about the up and to the right and over to the left and all those things, right? Okay, so now what could we do to take that person last night that was having a hard time? What are some of the things that we might could do? And we might could get into exercise. And exercise is really simple. And I want to just share these simple fundamental things with you whenever you're doing exercise. And I learned this stuff, as I've told you guys before, I learned this stuff. This is the Level 1 Training Guide, 2nd edition CrossFit Training. This is a CrossFit Level 1 certification course. I went and took the Level 1 certification course. And after I had spent 29 years in athletics, after I was the son of a football coach, after I was a doctor of chiropractic, after I got a degree in exercise and sports science, after I got a master's degree in sports administration, after I did all of that stuff, and I practiced for 10 years, 14 years, then I went and listened to a guy named Greg Glassman talk about exercise. And I literally think it's the best thing that I have ever heard. For me personally, it's the best thing that I've ever heard. And I want to share that with you. Now, I've got 2 books. I've got the Spark book, because whenever we talk about exercise, we always go back to John Rady's book, the Spark book. And I want to talk about some pieces in here as well. But and Dr. Rady is basically an aerobics guy. He's completely. He wants you to get up and move, and he wants you to move your feet so that you can drive your brain. But he's an aerobics guy. Um, Greg Glassman is a Olympic lifting guy, and he's a CrossFit, meaning CrossFit is doing multiple movements in a short period of time to cover energy systems, and um, you can get a lot done in a little bit of time, and you can get a lot of brain activity going. You can get a lot of hormone activity going, and you can really make some changes in your life if you will in a very short period of time by doing this CrossFit type stuff. And that's what I'm going to talk about. We're up against a break right now, and so when we get back, I want to break in. I want to just share these fundamental things with you and talk about some things that you can do for yourself. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple to get exercise going. You don't have to. You don't have to make it difficult. And I'll talk to you about that when we get back from this break. So you guys stick around with us. We're going to continue talking about exercise right after the break. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, right here on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio. There's so many people that talk about exercise. I mean, you guys know that, and you guys have your own gurus out there. I'm sure, like you got your own go-to people that you want to listen to, and there's. I'm not saying that any of those other people are wrong, and that Coach Glassman is the only one that could do things right. I don't say that by any means. I say for years, I've said that you could tell a CrossFitter when they walk in the room. They have the best physiques of any group of people that I've ever seen. Runners are skinny folks, right? Weightlifters are big old bulgy bodybuilder guys, right? You see guys hang out in the gym. They got big upper bodies. They got little bitty skinny legs. CrossFitters don't look that way. CrossFitters are built right, which tells me that they're um, I use this statement this weekend with my daughter, but because I've heard my dad say it my whole life. There's a bone with some meat on it right there. That's a I'm not sure. You can break that down for yourself, but you can look at a group of people walk into a room, and you could be like, yeah, that guy does CrossFit right there, because they just look right. They got good glutes. They got proper legs. They got their abs, their midsection, their core is proper. Their body's built in proper proportions. You know, the shoulders and the glutes and the hips. Just good looking dudes, good looking guys, good looking gals. They're super. They train in very athletic situations at high heart rates, and those are the things. And they do foundational movements, what they call functional movements. And the functional movements, I'll break that down here in just 1 second when we get back on the radio of what that is. Hang on 1 second. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, and that we're talking about exercise. So we're talking about the CrossFit stuff. Now, I am level 1 certified, but I'm not a CrossFit trainer. We don't do CrossFit in the gym at the Rock. We do CrossFit methodology, but we're not. This is not a CrossFit gym. Don't get me in trouble with the CrossFit people, because I don't want to be in trouble with them. We're not a CrossFit gym. I just learned this stuff from Greg Glassman, and I'm reading right straight out of his book on some of this stuff. But CrossFit is constantly varied, high-intensity functional movement. So constantly varied. When I was growing up, we just did the same thing all the time. Like we go in the gym. Now, my coach was actually pretty progressive. He was way ahead of the game, because when we were working out at Roswell High, we did we actually did CrossFit type stuff. We did a circuit where you would work. You had a partner. You would work and move and work and move and work and move, and and it was, you'd go all the way around the gym and you do all the exercises. But so constantly varied, high intensity functional movement. So learning how to move properly is super important in learning how to be successful. One of the disappointing things about working out, and I think we've all faced this before, is that we work out for a period of time and we don't see benefit from it, and then we get irritated that we wasted so much time in the gym. Like we how many of you actually have a gym membership, and how many of you actually do not go to the gym? That was me. I was that person for 20 years after I got, I mean, I've had my license for 20 years. So from 2005 to 2019, for 14 years, that was me. I had the gym membership and didn't go to the gym. Multiple times I would go to the gym, I would do some workouts, and it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to do back and buys and what, chest and tries or whatever, some sort of thing you had going on. Today was leg day or whatever. It's like people say that kind of stuff, right? And it's gym talk, and it's training talk, and it's a little bit confusing about what to do. And so one of the things that you do is you go into the gym, you work out, and then you do that for a couple of weeks, and you haven't really seen any difference in the way that you function, the way that you look, the way that you feel, nothing. And then so you get disappointed because you didn't know what to do, and you're like, man, I don't want to spend the money and get a trainer, and I'm too embarrassed, and I don't know what it's like. And then you just kind of lose, you just get lost, right? You get lost in your exercise, or you get a videotape, and you get you get the Buns of Steel or something, right? That's what they did in the 80s. You had Jane Fonda, and you had Richard Simmons, and you had all these guys way back in the day talking about exercise. And then you got something that you do at home, and I know nowadays it's way more advanced than it used to be. And a lot of times you can find the proper high intensity, constantly varied high intensity functional movements at home. You could do that too. But let's just talk about what those mean. Constantly varied. We just do something different every day. No matter how many times you've worked out, 3 times a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. If you whatever you're doing, you're not going to do the same thing in the same pattern every time. You're going to mix it all up. Like this morning, I went back to the very beginning of 2020 and used a workout that I wrote in 2020. I just modified it just a little bit. In 2020, it was a 10-minute workout. I think it's like the 4th workout in our 24 workout package. But it is 10 minutes, and it's an AMRAP, in as many reps as you can get, or as many rounds as possible. You're going fast. You're just trying to get it done. And what it was 8 push press where you got a little bounce. You got a little bounce in your knees, and you're pressing the weight above your head with dumbbells. We do it with dumbbells. You can use a barbell, however you want to do it. But it was 8 push press, and then it was rowing for 1 minute. And just do that as many rounds as you can for 10 minutes. And that was the workout that we did. So fast forward 4 years later, and I went back to that first workout because I got a new guy that's starting back up. And I was like, all right, let me look and see where he's doing today. And I saw that, and I was like, that'd be good for us to do. So what I did was I just added another round to it, and I changed the rest period, and I changed the length. So it's one of the things that you're trying to teach volume and intensity. And when you start off with an exercise program, you want to start off with a lower volume and a lower intensity so you don't hurt yourself. Because really what you're doing in the first part of an exercise program, and we've talked about this lots of times on the show, is you're creating a efficiency between your brain and your muscles. That's what you're doing in the first several weeks, maybe even 6 weeks of a workout program. So during that time. It's kind of like Leslie. I told you guys she hurt her back um, a week ago on Friday, a week ago last Friday, doing some burpees, and she got a little bit, she got a little bit too cocky, and was bouncing down and bouncing back up on the burpees, and hurt, and she did something to her back, and she's been a little bit tender. So she skipped Tuesday's workout. Then we came back on Friday, and she did a limited workout. Well, then when we came back this morning, she was like, I said, she was got ready to do her push press, and she's like, these weights are lame. And because she really geared it down, she backed it down, and I was like, hey, look, that's what you do when you're coming out of injury. Don't don't re-injure yourself and push yourself back to an injury, because it just slows you down again for the next month or 2 months or 3 months. We're not playing a ball game on Saturday. We're living life as 50-year-olds. We're just trying to run a business, take care of be with our kids as grown people, and love each other. We're not setting any records or any of that sort of thing. So it's like, look, we're in this for the long haul. So I said, hey, back it down, just back it down. And that's the same thing that I would recommend if you haven't been working out and you need an exercise program. You can do something. You can get a can of beans and do a push press. If you're listening to me on the radio, just act like you're just going to push your hands up to the roof. Just act like it's like, just like raise the roof. You've seen people do that before. That's all the push press is. But you just started off with a little bit of a bounce in the knee. And the little bit of a bounce in the knee makes that a functional movement. And a functional movement, our universal motor recruitment patterns, they are performed in a wave of contraction from core to extremity, and they are compound movements. They are multi-joints. They are natural, effective, and efficient locomotors of body and external objects. But no aspect of functional movement is more important than their capacity to move large loads over long distances and do so quickly. What Greg Glassman is saying right there is that a functional movement actually has a contraction from your core through your periphery. And that's the difference between just a shoulder press, where you're just sitting still and you're not bouncing and you're just pressing the weights above your head, versus a push press, where now you've got the little bounce and now you've got this wave of contraction that starts from your core and waves up through your extremity. And that's what's called a functional movement. So today what we did is we did 8 of those, and we rode for a minute. And then we got off and we did 8 ab mat sit-ups. An ab mat is a little mat that you can, if you just go to Amazon, I'm certain if you just go to Amazon and you could just look for ab mat, or you could get it at Rogue Fitness too. Yeah, I mean, you just go to Amazon. They got multiple of them right there, right off the bat. There's 3 different kinds of ab mats that you can get. There's also an ab mat with a tailbone protector, so if you need that, and there's all kinds of them. You can get them. We get ours from Rogue. That's the one that we get. But there's all kinds of ab mats. So an ab mat is just a little rounded mat that you can lay on, and it'll help you do a sit-up. We sit on the floor like Indian style. We put our feet together, and we kind of sit in a butterfly position, and we put that mat right behind us, right up on our tailbone, and then we go backwards and we do our sit-ups. Reach back with your hands. Don't put your hands behind your head. We just reach all the way back, touch the ground, and we come up and touch and come back forward, and we go through that movement. So we just did 8 of them. It was very simple. We did 8 push press. We got on the rowing machine for 1 minute. We did 8 ab mat sit-ups. We got on the rowing machine for 1 minute. And then we did that 2 times before we took a break. And it took us about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It took a little bit over our 3-minute mark. And that's what you're wanting to do, in my opinion, based on what I've done for 4, we're in our 5th year now of this, is there's 3 types of exercises. There's 3, you just, a quick, if you were to graph them out, there's a quick 10-second exercise. It doesn't really matter what it's called. It's your maximum effort, and you do it for 10 seconds. If you're trying to see how much you could bench press, boom, just one bench press, right? Then the second one is a moderate effort, and it lasts for a couple of minutes. And really, it peaks at a minute, and it's kind of a 3-minute workout. And then the last one is a very low effort, and you're going to do that for a long time. That's your aerobic one that you can go for a walk, you can go for a run, you can something it's not maximum effort, it's not even moderate effort, but you're going to do it over a long period of time. So those are the 3 ways that we work out. So what we did is we did 8 push press, row for a minute, 8 sit-ups, row for a minute, go back and do it again. 8 push press, row for a minute. And that ended up being 3 minutes and 15 seconds twice. So it ended up about 6.5 minutes before we rested. And then we took a minute and 30 rest, and then we just started that again. And basically in 20 minutes, we got it done 2.5 times. We got we got the double repetition, and then we rested. We got the double repetition, and then we rested. And then we got another half of it done in that time. And that was a great 20-minute workout. And it's like a simple little thing. It got us moving. And the thing that I love about the CrossFit stuff, it's founded in Olympic movements. So the things that are super important, the deadlift, the clean, the squat, and the jerk, those things are multi-joint movements. That's what the functional movement, that's what we're talking about. You're going to move through multiple joints. You're going to get your abs involved in a push press. You're going to get your abs involved. You're going to get your shoulder involved. You're going to get your elbow involved. You got to keep your wrist in a certain position so that your elbow stays in front of your wrist, and you're going to move yourself through that exercise. You could do that at home with a can of beans and walking. Like, you could do that same exact thing. You could walk, or actually 2 cans of beans. You could walk up and down your hallway, and then walk up and down your hallway for 1 minute, and then do push presses. Do 8 of them, do 10 of them, do 12 of them. Keep them in that range. Take all of your workout equipment. If you've got anything, one of the things that's super cool to do is get some bands. Get some bands and just move your feet. Get on your feet and use the bands. You can go to 5 million videos on YouTube and learn all about ways to exercise. One thing that I would recommend, those things are if you're at home. You can do push-ups, you can do sit-ups, you can do air squats, you can do dips on a couch where you put your hands behind you, and then you press down and you get your body out in front of the couch, and you kind of like trying to put your seat, you're trying to put your seat on the floor, but your hands are still up on the cushions of the couch, and then push yourself back up. That's a tricep extension. You can do that at home. You could do planks at home. You could do the big 3, the crunches, the bird dogs, the side planks. Those are things that you can do at home as well. So there's lots of activities. If you've bought yourself some dumbbells, and like I used 35-pound dumbbells this morning. That was it. Like, we don't get heavy. That's 70 pounds total. So if I was in the gym and I had a 45-pound bar, I would basically have 12.5 on each end. Like, it would be tiny little plates. And I would have just been doing that with the bar. Now, if you're serious about it, you'll be at a gym. But if you're at home and you need to be able to learn to move, and you need to move good, then those are things you can do. And so what you want to do is you want to vary them. Just pick 2 or 3 of those in a day. Pick 2 or 3 of those, and then mix them up. And just do 2 or 3 this time, and then on your next workout, do 2 or 3 different ones. And then on your next workout, do 2 or 3 different ones. and just combine them like that. We've been doing it. I mean, we've been doing that same thing for. We're in our 5th year doing it. Like I had an 80-year-old guy and multiple 70-year-old ladies doing ab mat sit-ups this week, and they were killing it. Like my 80-year-old guy was just getting after it. He's behind. He started later than the rest of them, but he was down there doing. He got on the sat down on his tailbone, got his feet butterflied, put his feet together. I got behind him, kind of helped him out a little bit, and he's down there doing sit-ups. I mean, it was great. It takes him a minute, and then when you stand up, you got to stand up and basically do a burpee. If you guys don't know what a burpee is, you just lay flat on your stomach and then you get back up. That's a burpee. You could do it all kinds of different ways, but yes, it's good for balance. It's good for coordination, and those are some of the things that. When you're doing Olympic lifts, according to I keep calling him Dr. Glassman. It should be Dr. Glassman, but there's a neuroendocrine response, which means it alters you hormonally and neurologically because there's weights involved. There's weights involved, and they're going through multiple joint movements like deadlifts and cleans and squats. You're doing that in a way that causes you to have speed, power. You get strength, speed, power, and flexibility in these movements. If you just stand in front of a mirror and you just do curls in front of a mirror, you're basically just doing one joint. You got your elbow joint working, and that's basically it. And it doesn't take a lot of brain power for you to do that type of movement. So in order to get your brain involved, one of the things I told them yesterday morning was, hey, you got to be able to count. They got on the rower, and then they got off and did their push presses, and then they got back on the rower, or however they did it. And then when they got back on the rower, the timer on the rower hadn't reset itself. So when they started pulling, they were already at a minute and something. So it said a minute and 5 or a minute and 7 because they had done their minute. And the timer just keeps going just a little bit. And so I was like, hey, look. And then they got lost. They're like, oops, I didn't check. My timer didn't restart. And I said, yeah, you got to be able to think while you move. And that's vitally important because it drives your ability to think when you move when you're not in the gym. That's the thing like we don't work out in our workout place. We don't work out to make our life about our workout. We work out so that our life outside of our workout is better. That's what is I've learned from this deal. So one of my guys said, hey, I picked up a bunch of acorns from a tree that he's got a big tree in his yard, and he spent the weekend picking up acorns or something. And I was like, did you bend your knees? Did you squat properly? Did you sit back? Did you drop your hips? Did you get in proper movement? Because that's the reason that we do the stuff in the gym, is so that we can carry it over outside. So we do reps and sets and change and constantly change it, but we do it at a relatively high intensity. And we want to make sure that we're doing that so that we get our brains working, and we want to be able to coordinate ourselves. There, coordination, agility, accuracy, balance. Those are also things that come into play when you're working out that you get. There's so much coordination going on in your brain just to be able to lift a weight and hold it and move. And if you have to do that at a high heart rate, and a high heart rate is obviously, you have to understand it's based on yourself. It's not based on somebody else. You could be 80 years old and a high heart rate for you, it could be 100, right? 220 minus your age. 220 minus 80 was 140, and then you can multiply that times 70%. That's 98. Yeah. So if you were working over 70%, 80%, 140, 85% is considered high intensity. So you're at 119. Well, if you're 80 years old, you get your heart rate to 119, you're working out in a HIIT workout. You're up there. You're doing that type of workout and getting yourself moving like you're supposed to move. So that's a good thing to do. So let's recap it before we run out of time, and then I want to read just a little bit from the Spark book. You want to do either really quick 10-second work, you want to do 3-minute intervals, or you want to do something that goes aerobic, go for a walk, or something, ride your bike, something that's for a long time. You want to mix those things up. And a lot of what we do is that 3-minute realm. So we did it, we pushed it a little. We pushed our intensity and our volume at 4 years. So we basically did a 6.5-minute workout with a 1.5-minute rest, and then another 6.5-minute workout with a 1.5-minute rest, and then we got about a 3-minute workout on that last one. So it all worked. It worked out pretty good. So those are the things. Those are the ways that you want to build it, and then you want to vary each day what you're doing. Don't do the same thing every day. Okay, let me read a couple of these little small things because I highlighted some of them, and I just want to remind you. There's a book. It's called The Molecules of Emotion. It was written by Candace Pert, and she discovered that there were opiate receptors in the brain. The theory that exercise fills your brain with this morphine-like substance matched the good feeling everyone got. It gave us the expression runner's high, an extreme version of the effect. That was some of the things there is the molecules of emotion, and those molecules are stored in your spinal cord, by the way. And so when you get adjusted, a lot of times you get emotional, and you're an emotional person if you get adjusted. And if you're, it's not that bad to be an emotional person. It's kind of fulfilling, if you ask me. And so, but there is some chemistry that's going along with what's happening. And the reason I wanted to read that for you is that there are opiate receptors in the brain. The theory that exercise fills your brain with this morphine-like substance matched the good feeling everyone got. The point I was trying to make with that is that exercise is affecting your brain. That's what's super important about that part. They actually were doing this in Norway. A hospital in Norway was offering depressed patients an option of treatment with antidepressants or daily exercise. This was a shock, and the drugs were really just being introduced, and the results were forcing us to change the way we thought about treatment. Yet here, a hospital offering exercise for people with severe depression, and it was working. It was working because you can, and where's depression come from? Depression comes from the right hemisphere of the brain. What's happening when you're exercising? You're getting on your feet and you're moving your feet and you're firing into the right side of the brain and over to the left. That's a vital part of getting yourself functioning the way that you need to function. When you start your nutrition program, it's really a great idea to just start your exercise program together with it. Do those two things together at the same time. And if you're not doing a nutritional program, if you're doing an exercise program without a nutritional program, you're just being you're just immature at this point, really. Because people will say that all the time. Hey, I can eat anything I want to because I work out 4 or 5 days a week. That's just immaturity. That is ignorance in the way that health and wellness actually works. You got to do those two things together. Got to get some exercise and do nutrition all at the same time. Those two things go hand in hand. So we made it through another show. It was crazy, but we did it anyway. Hope you guys got something out of that. We got a busy day tomorrow at the Rock. We got a busy day on Thursday, but we will be here tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So I hope you guys have a great evening. Try to get, if you're in Lubbock, try to get dry, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.